Hi, my name is Paul and I'm an addict. So, just a bit of background on how I came here. As a youngster, I grew up in a very loving home, two wonderful parents that cared and loved for me and my brother. And I had really no reason to turn the way that I did. But I was a very curious young boy. If my dad would tell me, don't go down that road, it's quite dangerous there, then that curiosity just led me there. I remember the first time my path crossed substances when I was in high school, and I would drink with my friends, and I realized that I was drinking more than them. So from a very early age, there was this tendency of me to just, experiment and push the boundaries further and further. And this went on for multiple years through varsity. At the varsity, I experimented with chemicals for the first time, but somehow managed to push through varsity and get into a professional job eventually, get married. I had a child, and the interesting thing about addiction that I've learned in recovery is that it's progressive. So despite having all the things that I thought would make me happy, never did. I had this yearning, this deep yearning I felt uneasy in my own skin. I was just never content. And substances gave me that illusion of that everything is okay, I'm okay. But it was temporarily and it was artificial. So it was never lasting. And despite having, like I said, all of those things that I thought would make me happy, it never did. I would wake up in the morning next to my beautiful wife and still go out and look for substances. And this went on for multiple years. And then my first attempt at recovery, it was a faith-based treatment center where the treatment was very severe. They had this concept that addiction is a sin, not a disease. And I literally was locked up for 6 months on a farm, and it didn't really help. I mean, I was released there, 6 months clean and sober, but I think it wasn't even 2 months after that I relapsed. Went to my second attempt at recovery. My family thought it was a psychiatric problem. I went to a private psychiatric hospital, saw doctors there, and also they detoxed me, but it was temporarily. There wasn't a long-term solution to that problem. And then went out again, and it was so exhausting because I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And this went on for multiple years. And then I had to come to a point where my wife and everyone around me said they can't live with me any longer. And I literally took my bags and went to the streets because I didn't want to expose my son to the darkness that was my life. And I ended up staying on the streets for a couple of days. And I remember I reached a point where I didn't want to live anymore because I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, because I didn't want this. If you could strap me to a lie detector, I would tell you, and I would pass the lie detector test, that I really did not want to use substances anymore. But somehow the next day I always ended up picking up. And I remember just like that day, I literally wanted to die. And I was on my way to go to my dealer, and a lady stopped next to me and saw me and said, "You don't look well. Can I call someone for you?" And I couldn't see the digits on the phone. And all the number I had was to call my wife. And I called her, and she reached out to a friend of mine that was in Changes. I didn't know Changes. I didn't know where Changes was. I come from Pretoria, and they took me there. And it was the first couple of days was quite rough. I was detoxed. I had to go through that withdrawals. But once I reached that state of that, all those chemicals was out of my system, the clinical team started to work with me, slowly but surely. I got exposed to the idea that addiction is a disease. It's a threefold disease. It's a physical, it's a mental, and it's a spiritual disease. And I had to, the first part of the treatment phase, I had to accept to my innermost self that I'm an addict. That whatever I do, I will go back to addict mode unless I tackle this disease the way I was taught to. So I went through primary care. I was exposed to addiction counselors there. I was exposed to a psychiatrist, a psychologist. We had occupational therapy. And it was very interesting because during that first phase of treatment, it was shown to me that, firstly, that addiction will kill me if I don't tackle it. If it doesn't succeed in killing me, it would rob me of everything I have in life. And also, I had to come to the realization that I'm completely powerless and my life is completely unmanageable. So the treatment phase is designed in such a way that it made it clear to me to see that, wow, okay, I am completely powerless over it. Like I said, I had every intention of stopping, but I just couldn't. It's that physical part. Once I take that substance, I simply can't stop. And then after primary care, I went to the halfway house. And during this phase of treatment, which is now the outpatient treatment, I get exposed to lectures as well as group therapy. And group therapy was absolutely pivotal to me because in a group setting, being surrounded by fellows in treatment, we talk about all the darkness, all the consequences, everything that happened for us with the guidance of counselors. But it's more that the group is keeping each other as fellow addicts accountable and calling each other out. And that was so much value. There was so much value in outpatient for me. I did outpatient for a couple of months and then moved on to aftercare. And at aftercare, which we do on a Zoom platform 3 times a week, still the same setting, also group therapy, also the guidance of counselors, and also weekly counseling sessions. I realize exactly how dangerous this disease is, and it needs to be, like I said, tackled below the knees. And also what happened in the change of system for me is I got exposed to the 12-step program of recovery. The 12-step program of recovery, the meetings, that the AA, the NA, the CA, the Eating Disorder Anonymous, all those different fellowships, Catering for Gambling Anonymous, teaches me that there is a solution, and that's the wonderful thing. There is a solution to this darkness of addiction, this disease. And meeting with fellow addicts at a meeting it's just been wonderful. I made so many friends in recovery, such valuable connections. I mean, where I was just a couple of months ago, alone on the streets, not wanting to live, now I have people that really care about me, connections that really care about me. And also the other thing is I wake up in the mornings free. I remember in active addiction, if I compare, like I said, I would wake up in my house with my wife next to me, with my son in the other room, but even that didn't stop me. The first thought I would have in the mornings when I woke up my eyes is just to get my substance. In recovery now, I wake up grateful, first of all, that all those chemicals are out of my system. I can breathe. I can just be in the moment. I appreciate all the things in life. I mean, I wake up early in the morning and I would go outside and I would look at the sunrise. You know, I would take the dog on a walk. It's the little things that's so valuable to me at this point in time. And I realize now that I can be a father to my son. I was never a father to my son in active addiction. That was just an illusion. And even if I was there, I wasn't there. But with the help of the clinical team, I mean, I'm still getting counseling on a weekly basis. I'm still in halfway house at the moment. And I plan to stay there for an entire year because I really, really need this. Yes, there was severe consequences because of my addiction, but you know, the one thing is that recovery has given me the ability to face life on life's terms. I can look people straight in the eye. I don't have to shy away. I'm not exhausted anymore. I don't wear these multiple masks anymore. And it's also, for me, it's a spiritual journey, because I had this internal void that I always wanted to fill with substances. I now fill it with spirituality, fill it with love, honesty, acceptance, and just being a true and authentic human being. Yeah.